mission was to conquer backward people and exploit them. That's why the head of the British Army was called CGIS, the Chief of the General Imperial Staff, an army of empire to conquer other people. That was their mission. And they were not hiding it. Now, the American army, you remember how it started. The American settlers rebelled against the British king and poured his tea in the ocean, Boston Tea Party. And their slogan was no taxation without representation. In other words, they were making middle-class demands of democracy. So they had a political movement, a movement for democracy, political. But that political movement needed an army to defend it. That's how you get the army of George Washington, the Continental Army. So the army of the Americans is to defend capitalism. The Red Army is an army of peasants and workers to defend the interests of those people. What are the African armies for? This is the problem we had here. We had Idi Amin. Idi Amin that is a soldier. A soldier of what? What is your mission? I'm just soldier. Soldier. Without mission. This was part of the crisis. So, a weak state, because you don't have a political movement in that country, which now creates for you a capable army and other structures. Mwalimu Nyerere, our elder, had to dissolve the old Tanganyika rifles and create TPDF, Tanzanian People's Defense Forces. That's one of the reasons I'm sure Tanzania has been stable all this time, unlike all of us who had a lot of problems. So strategic problem number two after getting independence has been a weak state. But the weak state is from, you could call it strategic bottleneck number three, wrong politics. Politics without a historical mission. The politics of identity. If you say our politics are politics of tribes, of religion, of gender chauvinism, how would you build a capable state? This is the problem we have in some of the countries. Clan armies, sectarian armies. Countries have broken up because of identity. The fourth weakness we have, bottleneck we have seen, has been the suppression of the private sector. This was another mistake. It is true that people can work for altruism. So you have got a few people who can work without, not working for selfish interest. But the majority of the people work more for private interest. So the separation of the private sector, like happened here in Uganda, Idi Amin expelling our Indian people, was a big mistake. It set us back so many years. And the Indians were helping us, bringing entrepreneurship. And we brought them back, and we brought other businesses. That's how the economy of Uganda has been able to come up. So that was another bottleneck. Now, the other bottleneck are the small economies, the balkanization of Africa into these small markets. Because when people really wake up, you will soon find that the internal market is not enough. In Uganda, when these Ugandans got some stability and woke up, in very short time, they found that everything was in surplus. The internal market was not enough. The milk production, 86 were producing 200 million liters a year. We are now producing 5.3 billion liters of milk a year. But the Ugandans consume only 800 million liters. So more than 4 billion liters of milk is surplus. The internal market is not enough. Maize, cement, steel, all those products, tires and so on, industrial and even agricultural. The internal market is not enough. So that's why the regional market becomes very crucial. I'm very grateful to the East African leaders when they agreed, including people like His Excellency Chikwete, when they agreed that we revive the East African community and expand it. And also all the African leaders, because they have agreed on the CFTA, Continental Free Trade Area of the whole of Africa. It's already signed, but the only problem is implementation. So the forum should look at how we can intensify, because part of the problem of the CFTA is the infrastructure. At one time, we were talking of the railway from Djibouti to Dakar, from Mombasa to Kisangani. But now, I no longer hear about that. So in terms of our sensitization, we should emphasize that the market, the infrastructure to support the market. Because we were talking with the World Bank. I went to Nairobi for the World Bank meeting, and I said, you wonderful people, you talk of the private sector-led growth. Yes, but the private sector needs low costs of doing business, which means low cost of electricity, low cost of transport. Labor is low cost, that's no problem in Africa. The labor is not expensive. But you need low cost of money in the bank, and so on, which means infrastructure. So infrastructure must be emphasized, not just, and when the World Bank talk of infrastructure, sometimes they talk only about the roads. The roads are good for cars and passengers, but not good for cargo. For the cargo, we need the railway. The railway and the water transport. They are much cheaper.